The massive chamber stretched out like a metal canyon with walls that reached so high they disappeared into shadows. Thousands of alien beings filled the curved seats that lined the walls in perfect circles. Their voices created a low humming, sound that bounced off the metal surfaces and filled the air with tension. At the center of it all stood a platform where the most powerful beings in the galaxy gathered to make decisions that affected billions of lives across countless star systems. General Vextar walked slowly across the platform with heavy steps that echoed through the chamber. His scaled skin caught the bright lights and threw them back in green and gold flashes. He stood nearly 3 meters tall, and his broad shoulders carried the weight of 17 different military uniforms from 17 different worlds. Each uniform showed the symbols of conquest and victory. His forearms moved with practiced precision as he adjusted his ceremonial weapons. The aliens in the seats fell silent as he approached the speaking platform. Captain Lee Dongmin sat in the human section, which was much smaller than the others. Only 5 humans had been allowed to attend this gathering. Lee wore his simple blue diplomatic uniform without any fancy decorations or weapons. Next to him sat Dr. Park Soo-jin, who held a small device that recorded everything being said. She had spent years studying alien cultures and languages. Behind them sat Commander Kim Tae-ho, who watched every movement in the chamber with sharp eyes. His hand rested casually near his side weapon, though he knew it would be useless against the advanced shields that protected this place. The chamber held representatives from hundreds of different species. The Zephyrians floated in their gas-filled bubbles near the ceiling. Their translucent bodies glowed with soft blue light as they communicated through chemical signals. The Chronites sat in their heavy metal chairs that could support their rock-like bodies. Each Chronite weighed several tons and spoke in voices that sounded like grinding stone. The Veltorians occupied an entire section with their long, snake-like bodies coiled around specially designed seating. Their silver scales reflected the chamber lights like mirrors, but all eyes focused on General Vextar as he reached the center platform. The general commanded the largest military force in known space. His Dominion fleet controlled the trade routes between star systems. Entire worlds paid tribute to avoid his attention. Pirates and rebels disappeared when his ships arrived in their sectors. He had never lost a battle and had never shown mercy to those who opposed the Galactic Council's will. Vextar raised his primary arms, and the chamber became completely silent. His voice carried easily through the vast space without any need for amplification. The general species had evolved to project their voices across great distances on their homeworld, where mountains and valleys separated their cities. Honored members of the Galactic Council, he began with words that sounded more like a growl than speech. We gathered today to address a problem that has grown too large to ignore. The humans continue to reject our authority and refuse to follow galactic law. They occupy a single world in a minor star system, yet they act as if they are equals to species that have ruled space for thousands of years. Dr. Park Soo-jin made notes on her device as the general spoke. She had studied his species and knew that his aggressive posture meant he was preparing for combat. His secondary arms had moved to rest on his weapons, and his breathing had become deeper and more controlled. These were signs that his people showed before attacking their enemies. The humans have been offered membership in our council many times, Vexatar continued. But they demand terms that no species has ever received. They want to keep their primitive governments and refuse to accept guidance from their betters. They insist on maintaining their own military forces instead of contributing to the Dominion fleet. They even demand the right to explore space without supervision. A rumbling sound came from the Chronite section as they expressed agreement through their stone-grinding voices. The Zephyrians' lights flickered faster, showing their excitement. Many other species made their own sounds of approval. The humans remained silent and still. Captain Lee Dong-min had been chosen to represent Earth because of his experience with difficult negotiations. He had served in Earth's military for 20 years before becoming a diplomat. He had learned to stay calm under pressure and to think carefully before speaking. His superiors had given him clear instructions about this meeting, but they had also told him to use his own judgment if the situation changed. These humans think they are special because they developed space travel without outside help. The general's voice grew louder and more threatening. But thousands of species have done the same thing. They are not unique, and they are not superior. They are simply stubborn children who need to be taught proper respect for authority. Commander Kim Tae-ho shifted slightly in his seat. His military training made him catalog every exit from the chamber and count the number of guards he could see. He noticed that most of the alien guards carried energy weapons that could stun or kill depending on the setting. The humans had been allowed to keep their side weapons, but Kim knew they would be useless if fighting broke out in this place. The time for patience has ended. General Vexitar announced, "I have assembled the largest fleet in galactic history. 700 battle cruisers from 12 different worlds now wait at the edge of human space. Each ship carries enough firepower to destroy a city. Together they could turn the human world into cosmic dust in a matter of hours." The chamber erupted in sounds of approval from most species. The Veltorians hissed their agreement while coiling their bodies tighter. The Drachnoids stamped their feet in a rhythm that meant they were ready for war. Only a few species remained silent, and Lee noticed that these were the ones who had been conquered by the Dominion fleet in recent years. Dr. Park Soo-jin leaned closer to Captain Lee and whispered, "He's building up to the ultimatum. This is the standard pattern they use before attacking a new world." General Vexitar raised all four arms, and the chamber fell silent again. "I offer the humans one final chance to avoid destruction. You will surrender your world to Galactic Council, authority within 30 standard days. You will dissolve your governments and accept council administrators. You will disband your military forces and contribute your soldiers to the Dominion fleet. You will open your world to colonization by approved species. You will follow all galactic laws without question or complaint." The general's eyes focused directly on the human section. "If you refuse these generous terms, then my fleet will arrive at your world and demonstrate why resistance is futile. Your cities will burn, and your people will learn that defying the council always leads to suffering. This is not a negotiation, and these terms are not open to discussion." Captain Lee Dong-min felt the weight of every gaze in the chamber pressing down on him. He knew that his next words would determine the fate of humanity. Behind him he could sense Commander Kim's tension and Dr. Park's rapid breathing. The recording device in Soo-jin's hands captured every sound as history unfolded around them. Lee stood slowly and walked to the center of the platform. His simple uniform looked plain compared to the elaborate clothing worn by other species. He carried no weapons and wore no symbols of rank or power. To many in the chamber, he looked like a child among adults. "General Vexitar," Lee said in a clear voice that carried throughout the vast space, "I have listened to your words with great interest. You speak of authority and respect and proper behavior. You mention the size of your fleet and the power of your weapons. You offer us terms that you call generous." The general's scaled face showed surprise that a human would dare to speak so calmly after such a clear threat. His four hands moved closer to his weapons as his warrior instincts prepared for confrontation. "I appreciate your offer," Lee continued, "but I must decline on behalf of all humanity. We have governed ourselves for thousands of years, and we prefer to continue doing so. We have built our own civilization, and we are proud of what we have accomplished. We do not need guidance from anyone, and we certainly do not need masters." Chamber exploded in angry sounds from dozens of different species. The idea that a primitive species would reject the council's authority was almost unthinkable. General Vexitar's face darkened with rage as his breathing became harsh and rapid. "You refuse?" the general roared. "You insignificant creatures dare to refuse the will of the Galactic Council? Your world has no defenses that could stop even one of my ships, yet you choose to resist?" Captain Lee Dong-min looked directly into the general's eyes without showing any fear. "General, with all due respect," he said in the same calm voice, "you bow first." The silence that followed was so complete that every being in the chamber could hear their own heartbeats. Never in the history of the Galactic Council had anyone spoken such words to General Vexitar. The most feared military commander in the galaxy had been challenged by a representative of a species that had barely left their own star system. "General." Vexitar's four hands now gripped his weapons tightly as his rage built to dangerous levels. His scaled skin had turned dark red, which meant his species was preparing for deadly combat. Around the chamber, other species made sounds of shock and disbelief while some began preparing to witness violence. Dr. Park Soo-jin continued Recco. The secure communication channel crackled to life in the underground facility buried 3 kilometers beneath the Pacific Ocean. Admiral Yoon Ji-hee stood before a massive holographic display that showed the entire solar system with thousands of moving contacts representing ships, stations, and defensive platforms. Her gray hair was pulled back tightly, and her uniform bore the insignia of Earth's Hidden Fleet, a military organization that officially did not exist. Confirmed transmission from Captain Lee Dong-min, reported Communications Officer Nam Hyun-woo. From his station, the Galactic Council has issued their ultimatum as expected. General Vexitar is mobilizing the Dominion Fleet. Admiral Yoon turned to face the dozens of officers who filled the command center. Each person represented years of careful planning and preparation for this moment. They had known this day would come ever since humanity's first contact with alien civilizations 25 years ago. While Earth's surface governments engaged in peaceful diplomacy, a shadow organization had been preparing for war. "How long until their fleet reaches the outer system?" Admiral Yoon asked. 37 hours based on their current speed, answered Lieutenant Commander Kang So-young from the tactical station. General Vexitar is bringing 700 ships from 12 different species. Each vessel carries between 50 and 200 crew members. Total enemy force approximately 90,000 beings. Chief Engineer Choi Min-ho stepped forward with a data tablet in his hands. "Admiral, all shipyards report ready status. The construction facilities in the asteroid belt have completed their final preparations. Titan Base is fully operational and Luna Station has activated all defensive systems." Admiral Yoon nodded slowly as she reviewed the information. For 25 years, humanity had played the role of a primitive species that barely understood space travel. Earth's public space program showed rockets and small stations that seemed laughably simple compared to alien technology. Diplomatic missions used basic ships with minimal weapons and shields. The aliens saw exactly what humanity wanted them to see. The reality was very different. When the first alien scout ship had crashed in the Amazon rainforest in 2157, human scientists had recovered technology that opened entirely new possibilities. The craft's computers contained star charts, technical manuals, and cultural databases from dozens of alien civilizations. More importantly, the ship's quantum drive had shown humanity how to travel faster than light. Dr. Park Soo-jin's early reports from the Galactic Council had provided crucial intelligence about alien military capabilities and political structures. Her cultural studies revealed that most alien species had achieved technological advancement through slow, careful development over thousands of years. They built reliable systems and followed established patterns, but they rarely innovated or took risks. Humanity had taken a different approach. Instead of copying alien technology exactly, human engineers had improved it by combining different systems in new ways. Where aliens used single-purpose tools, humans created multifunctional devices. Where aliens followed safety protocols that prevented dangerous experiments, humans pushed boundaries and accepted calculated risks. The result was a hidden fleet that surpassed anything the galaxy had ever seen. Ships built in secret facilities throughout the solar system combined the best alien technology with uniquely human innovations. Weapons that should not work according to established physics somehow functioned because human scientists refused to accept theoretical limitations. Status report from all facilities. Admiral Yoon commanded. Chief Engineer Choi began reading from his tablet. Ceres Shipyard has completed construction of 200 heavy cruisers. Each ship carries experimental weapon systems and adaptive armor plating. Europa Base reports 150 stealth destroyers ready for deployment. These vessels can operate undetected for extended periods. The engineer paused to scroll through. More data. Titan Station has finished work on our command ships. 12 heavy battleships with enhanced shields and long-range sensors. Luna Base has activated the planetary defense grid with 300 orbital platforms. Intelligence Officer Kang So-young added her own report. Deep space monitoring stations confirm that alien scout ships have been observing Earth for the past 10 years. They have seen our surface installations and public space program, but they have no knowledge of our hidden facilities. Their intelligence reports describe humanity as technologically inferior with limited military capabilities. Admiral Yoon smiled grimly as she considered the enemy's massive intelligence failure. The aliens had become so accustomed to their superiority that they could not imagine a younger species surpassing them. They saw what they expected to see and ignored evidence that contradicted their assumptions. The holographic display showed detailed schematics of typical alien warships. Human intelligence had gathered this information through careful observation during diplomatic meetings and trade negotiations. The ships followed standardized designs that had not changed significantly in centuries. Their weapons, shields, and engines were powerful, but predictable. Analysis of enemy capabilities. Admiral Yoon requested. Lieutenant Commander Kang activated a new section of the holographic display. Alien warships rely on plasma cannons and particle beam weapons. These systems are effective but require significant power and have limited firing rates. Their shields use rotating frequency barriers that can be overwhelmed with sustained attack. The tactical officer highlighted specific sections of the alien ship designs. Their armor plating is thick but uniform. It provides good protection against energy weapons, but becomes vulnerable to kinetic impact at high velocities. Most importantly, their tactical systems are designed for formation fighting with predetermined engagement patterns. Dr. Park Soo-jin's cultural research had revealed the deeper reasons behind alien military limitations. Species that had ruled space for thousands of years had become conservative and risk-averse. They preferred overwhelming force and intimidation over innovation and adaptation. Their military commanders followed established protocols that had worked for centuries. Humanity had studied these patterns and developed countermeasures for each alien tactical approach. Where enemies expected formation fighting, human ships would use guerrilla tactics. Where aliens relied on long-range bombardment, humans would close to knife-fighting range. Where enemies used predictable attack patterns, humans would improvise and adapt. The secret of humanity's success lay not just in superior technology, but in superior thinking. Human military doctrine emphasized flexibility, creativity, and the willingness to try new approaches. Every human ship captain had authority to modify tactics based on changing circumstances. This was exactly the opposite of alien command structures that relied on centralized control and rigid hierarchies. Initiate Protocol 7. Admiral Yoon commanded. Throughout the solar system, hidden facilities began final preparations for battle. Ships that had been concealed in asteroid fields and moon craters started their engines and checked their weapons. Orbital platforms that had masqueraded as mining equipment revealed their true nature as defensive fortresses. Space stations that appeared to be research facilities activated military-grade shields and sensor arrays. The transformation was remarkable to witness. Within hours, the solar system changed from a lightly defended system with primitive technology into a fortress, bristling with advanced weapons. Hundreds of human warships took their positions along carefully planned attack routes. Thousands of automated defense platforms came online and began coordinating their targeting systems. General Vextar's approaching fleet was walking into a trap that had been 25 years in the making. The aliens expected to find a helpless world defended by obsolete weapons and frightened civilians. Instead, they would encounter a military force that had been specifically designed to counter their capabilities. But the true advantage lay in human psychology rather than human technology. The species of the Galactic Council had grown comfortable with their dominance and had forgotten what it meant to fight for survival. They conquered through intimidation and overwhelming superiority. They had never faced an enemy that refused to be intimidated and had prepared specifically to neutralize their advantages. Admiral Yoon reviewed the final deployment orders as her staff completed their preparations. Every human in the Hidden Fleet understood that they were fighting for the survival of their species and the independence of their world. This was not a territorial dispute or political conflict, but an existential struggle between freedom and slavery. The aliens saw humanity as stubborn children who needed to be taught respect for authority. They could not comprehend that humans viewed the Galactic Council as a collection of aging tyrants who had forgotten that strength comes from courage rather than fear. The coming battle would determine which philosophy would prevail in the galaxy. Chief, Engineer Choi approached Admiral Yoon with the final technical reports. All systems show green status. Our new weapon designs have passed every test and simulation. The adaptive armor is responding perfectly to combat scenarios. The stealth systems are operating beyond theoretical limits. Intelligence Officer Kang added her own confirmation. Deep space sensors show the Dominion fleet maintaining standard approach vectors. The diplomatic vessel. Seoul's Pride drifted silently at the edge of the solar system, like a small metal island in an ocean of stars. Captain Lee Dong-min stood on the bridge watching the forward displays as thousands of alien contacts appeared on the sensors. The Dominion fleet had arrived exactly on schedule, and their massive formation stretched across space for millions of kilometers. Lieutenant Nam Hyun-woo worked at the communications station while Sergeant Lim Da-eun monitored the tactical displays. From her position near the weapons console, the Seoul's Pride appeared to be alone and vulnerable, but hidden throughout the ship were systems that no alien had ever seen before. This vessel had been specifically designed to look primitive, while containing technology that surpassed anything in the galaxy. 712 ships confirmed, reported Nam from his station. The formation includes battle cruisers from the Kronite Empire, assault carriers from the Zephyrian Collective, and destroyer squadrons from at least 8 other species. General Vextar's flagship is a Drachnoid dreadnought measuring 4 kilometers in length. Captain Lee studied the tactical data as it scrolled across his display. The alien fleet had arranged itself in the traditional attack formation that had been used for centuries throughout the galaxy. Heavy ships formed the center while faster vessels protected the flanks. Support craft remained behind the main battle line. It was exactly what human strategists had predicted based on Dr. Park Soo-jin's cultural analysis. The aliens were following established patterns because those patterns had always worked before. They saw no reason to change tactics when facing a species they considered technologically inferior. This rigid thinking was about to become their greatest weakness in the coming battle. General Vextar's flagship transmitted a broad-spectrum communication signal that reached every human facility in the solar system. The message was intended to demoralize the defenders and demonstrate the overwhelming force arrayed against them. Instead, it provided valuable intelligence about alien communication protocols and command structures. Primitive humans, the generals. Voice boomed across space. Behold the might of the Galactic Council. 700 warships from 12 advanced civilizations have come to teach you the price of defiance. Your single world cannot resist this force. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift. Captain Lee activated the Seoul's Pride's communication system and responded on all frequencies. General Vextar, this is Captain Lee Dong-min representing the human government. I warned you to bow first, but you chose to bring an army instead. That was your mistake. The general's harsh laughter echoed. Through space, as his response came back immediately, you dare to threaten me while hiding behind a single pathetic ship? Your vessel would not survive one volley from my smallest escort. Where are your mighty defenses? Where is the great human fleet that was supposed to stop us? Captain Lee smiled as he looked at his tactical display. The hidden human forces remained, completely undetected despite being positioned throughout the solar system. Stealth technology developed from captured alien equipment had been improved far beyond its original capabilities. The Dominion fleet was surrounded by enemies they could not see. Sergeant Lim checked her weapons console and nodded to Captain Lee. The Seoul's Pride carried experimental systems that had been disguised as standard diplomatic equipment. Energy. Weapons that appeared to be communication arrays could punch through alien armor. Defensive shields that seemed like navigation sensors could deflect the most powerful enemy attacks. You want to see our defenses? Captain Lee asked calmly. Very. Well, General, allow me to show you what humanity has been building while you wasted time making speeches. The space around the Dominion fleet suddenly erupted with new contacts as hundreds of human ships dropped their stealth systems simultaneously. Vessels that had been hiding in asteroid fields revealed themselves as heavy cruisers bristling with weapons. Mining platforms transformed into orbital fortresses with massive gun batteries. Transport ships shed their disguises to become fast attack craft armed with experimental systems. The alien fleet found itself surrounded by a human armada that had appeared from nowhere. advanced sensors that should have detected any approaching ships had been completely fooled by human stealth technology. The tactical situation had reversed in an instant, from overwhelming alien superiority to dangerous uncertainty. General Vextar's voice carried a note of surprise as he transmitted again, "Impossible! Our sensors detected no major ship construction. In this system, these vessels cannot exist without our knowledge." "That's your problem, General," Captain Lee replied. "You only see what you expect to see. You assumed we were primitive because that fit your prejudices. You never considered that we might be better at hiding than you are at seeking." The human fleet continued revealing itself as more ships dropped their stealth systems. The final count showed nearly 400 human warships arranged in defensive positions throughout the solar system. Each vessel had been specifically designed to counter known alien capabilities while incorporating technologies that the Galactic Council had never encountered. Lieutenant Nam reported from his station, "All human vessels report ready status. Admiral, Yoon has assumed fleet command and is coordinating the defense. Enemy ships are showing signs of confusion as they try to adjust their formation." The Dominion fleet had been caught completely off guard by the sudden appearance of so many human ships. Their rigid tactical doctrine had no provisions for dealing with an enemy that refused to follow established patterns. Fleet commanders struggled to adapt their predetermined attack plans to the new situation. Captain Lee watched as alien ships began trying to reorganize their formation to deal with threats from multiple directions. The process was slow and clumsy because their command structure required approval from higher authority before making significant changes. Human ships used this delay to improve their own positions. "Human ship," General Vextar transmitted, "You may have hidden more vessels than we expected, but you are still outnumbered nearly 2-1. Our technology has been proven in hundreds of battles across the galaxy. Your experimental systems cannot match weapons that have conquered entire civilizations." Sergeant Lim activated the Soul's Pride's weapon systems as she responded to Captain Lee's signal. The ship's disguised energy cannons emerged from concealed positions and targeted the nearest alien destroyer. The first shot punched through the enemy vessel's shields like they were made of paper and carved a deep crater in the hull armor. The alien ship's crew had no time to react before the second shot penetrated to the engine core and triggered a massive explosion. The destroyer broke apart in a brilliant flash of light that illuminated the surrounding fleet. Debris scattered across space as the first casualty of the battle disappeared into expanding gas and metal fragments. "Your technology is impressive, General," Captain Lee said as he watched the destruction. "But it's also predictable. We've had 25 years to study your weapons and develop countermeasures. Every system in your fleet has a weakness that we know how to exploit." The loss of one of their escorts sent shockwaves through the Dominion fleet as commanders realized they were facing something completely unexpected. The human weapon that had destroyed the destroyer was unlike anything in their databases. The energy signature and firing pattern matched no known technology. General Vexatar's flagship began charging its main batteries as the enormous dreadnought, prepared to demonstrate the kind of firepower that had made the Drachnoids the most feared warriors in the galaxy. The ship's plasma cannons could turn a city into molten glass with a single volley. No planetary defense had ever withstood a direct assault from a Drachnoid dreadnought. "Enough games," the general roared. "I will show you the price of defying the Galactic Council. Witness the power that has conquered 1,000 worlds." The dreadnought's main guns fired simultaneously and sent streams of superheated plasma racing toward the Soul's Pride. Each energy beam carried enough destructive force to vaporize a mountain. The concentrated firepower would have destroyed any known ship in the galaxy within seconds. Captain Lee remained calm as the deadly energy beams approached his vessel. The Soul's Pride's experimental shields activated automatically and created a barrier that seemed impossible according to established physics. The plasma streams struck the shield barrier and simply disappeared as if they had never existed. The alien fleet fell silent as their most powerful weapon proved completely ineffective against human defensive technology. General Vextar stared at his sensor readings in disbelief as his officers confirmed that the human ship had sustained no damage whatsoever from the dreadnought's full-power assault. "How?" the general whispered over the communication channel. "Nothing can withstand a direct hit from our main batteries. Your shields should have collapsed instantly," Your weapons work by heating matter to plasma temperatures, Captain Lee explained patiently. Our shields convert that energy into useful power for our systems. Thank you for recharging our batteries. General, would you like to try again? The tactical display showed human ships throughout the solar system beginning to move into attack positions. Instead of the formation fighting that aliens expected, the space around Jupiter erupted in brilliant flashes as human and alien ships engaged in close combat that defied every rule of conventional warfare. Captain Oh Sung-jin commanded the stealth destroyer Soul's Vengeance as it weaved between massive alien battlecruisers while firing precision shots at their weapon systems. His ship moved like a dancer through the chaos, striking hard and disappearing before the enemy could respond. Target their shield generators, Oh commanded as his crew worked with practiced efficiency. Their armor is strong but useless without power. Tactical, I need a firing solution on that Chronite dreadnought. Engineer Han Wubin called out from his station. Captain, the port engine is running hot, but I can give you another 10 minutes at full speed. The experimental fusion system is performing beyond design specifications. The Soul's Vengeance represented everything that made human ships superior to their alien counterparts, where alien vessels followed standardized designs that had remained unchanged for centuries. Human engineers had built ships that could adapt to any situation. Modular weapon systems could be reconfigured during battle, while advanced engines provided maneuverability that seemed impossible to enemy observers. Pilot Bai Ye-jin led her fighter squadron in a desperate attack against a formation of Zephyrian assault carriers. Her small craft darted between the massive ships like insects around giants, but her weapons could penetrate shields that had been designed to stop much larger threats. The key was knowing exactly where to strike for maximum effect. Phoenix Squadron, follow my lead, Bai transmitted as she rolled her fighter into an impossible spiral that brought her under the belly of the lead carrier. Their shield generators are located just behind the main sensor array. Hit them hard and get out fast. Her squadron followed her through maneuvers that would have been suicide for alien pilots trained in formation flying and predictable attack patterns. Human pilots had learned to think in 3 dimensions while their enemies were still locked into ancient tactical doctrines that assumed battles would be fought in neat lines with overwhelming firepower. The Zephyrian carrier's shields collapsed under the concentrated assault from fighters that were too small and fast for the ship's defensive systems to track effectively. Secondary explosions rippled along the massive hull as critical systems failed in cascade reactions that the alien engineers had never anticipated. Commander Kim Tae-ho led a boarding party through the shattered hull of a Drachnoid cruiser that had been disabled by accurate fire from human heavy weapons. His Marines moved through the alien ship's corridors with weapons and tactics that had been specifically developed for fighting in zero gravity against species with different physiologies and combat doctrines. Remember your training, Kim transmitted to his team as they advanced toward the ship's command center. Drachnoids are strong but slow. Use your mobility and stay away from their close combat weapons. Target their breathing apparatus if you need to disable them without permanent harm. The Marine assault demonstrated another crucial advantage that humans possessed over their alien opponents. While the species of the Galactic Council had grown soft during centuries of technological warfare, humans still trained for personal combat. Every human soldier was prepared to fight hand-to-hand if necessary, while alien crews relied entirely on their ships' automated systems. Lieutenant Commander Kang So-young coordinated the overall battle from her position aboard Admiral Yoon's flagship while analyzing enemy communications and predicting their next moves. Her intelligence background allowed her to understand alien thinking patterns and anticipate their responses to human tactics. Admiral, the enemy is trying to reform their battle line behind that asteroid cluster, Kang reported. Their communications show confusion about our weapon capabilities, but they're adapting faster than we expected. General Vextar is ordering his reserve ships to implement Defensive Pattern 7. Admiral Yoon studied the tactical display as human and alien forces maneuvered throughout the solar system in a deadly dance that spanned millions of kilometers. The battle had been raging for 6 hours, and both sides had taken casualties. But the aliens were learning to counter some human advantages through sheer determination and superior numbers. They're starting to understand our tactics, Admiral Yoon observed. Time to show them something completely new. Signal all ships to implement the Prometheus Protocol. Throughout the human fleet, ships began executing maneuvers that violated every principle of space warfare that had been established over thousands of years. Instead of trying to maintain safe distances from enemy vessels, human ships deliberately moved into close range, where their superior maneuverability could be used to maximum advantage. Captain O received the signal aboard the Soul's Vengeance, and immediately understood what Admiral Yoon was planning. The Prometheus Protocol was the most dangerous tactic in the human playbook because it required ships to operate within the blast radius of their own weapons. Only human vessels with their experimental shields and adaptive armor could survive such close-quarters combat. All hands, prepare for ramming speed, O announced to his crew. We're going to show these aliens what happens when you threaten humanity's home. The Soul's Vengeance accelerated directly toward a Veltorian battlecruiser that was 3 times its size and armed with enough firepower to destroy a space station. The alien ship's crew watched in amazement as the much smaller human vessel approached on what appeared to be a suicide course. Their weapons fired repeatedly, but the advanced human shields absorbed or deflected every shot. At the last possible moment, Captain O ordered his ship to roll 90 degrees and fire its main guns directly into the alien vessel's engine compartment. From point-blank range, the concentrated firepower punched completely through the enemy ship's hull and triggered a reactor explosion that lit up space for thousands of kilometers. The Soul's Vengeance emerged from the fireball with its shields, flickering but its hull intact. The experimental armor had protected the ship from damage that would have destroyed any alien vessel. More importantly, the successful ramming attack had demonstrated that human ships could survive tactics that were impossible for their enemies. Similar scenes played out throughout the solar system as human commanders implemented strategies that had been developed specifically to counter alien numerical superiority. Where enemies expected long-range bombardment, humans closed to knife-fighting distance. Where aliens relied on formation integrity, humans scattered and struck from unexpected directions. Engineer Han Wu-bin worked frantically to keep the Soul's Vengeance operational as the ship endured punishment that would have crippled conventional vessels. His training had prepared him for exactly this situation, because human engineers understood that battle damage was inevitable when fighting against superior numbers. Reactor output is holding steady despite the hull breaches, Han reported. The EI adaptive armor is sealing most of the damage automatically. I can reroute power from non-essential systems to keep our shields at full strength. The ability to repair battle damage while fighting was another uniquely human advantage. Alien ships had been designed with the assumption that any serious damage would require return to a shipyard for repairs. Human vessels could continue fighting even after sustaining hits that would disable enemy ships. Pilot Bai Ye-jin's fighter squadron had been reduced to half strength, but they continued attacking targets of opportunity throughout the battle zone. Her remaining pilots had learned to use asteroid fields and debris clouds for cover, while striking at enemy supply ships and communication relays that were essential for coordinating the massive alien fleet. Control, this is Phoenix Leader. Bai transmitted, enemy command ship is attempting to withdraw behind their main battle line. Request permission to pursue and engage. Negative Phoenix Leader came Admiral Yoon's response. Maintain current position and prepare for the final phase. All human ships are to implement convergence pattern Delta on my signal. The climax of the battle was approaching as both sides prepared for a decisive engagement that would determine the fate of humanity. The Dominion fleet still possessed superior numbers, but human tactics and technology had inflicted devastating casualties while suffering relatively light losses. General Vextar faced a choice between retreat and total commitment to a battle he was no longer certain he could win. Commander Kim Tae-ho's boarding party had successfully captured the Dracnoid cruiser and was using its communication systems to monitor enemy fleet coordination. The intelligence they gathered revealed growing confusion and demoralization among alien commanders who had never faced an enemy that refused to follow established patterns. Admiral, enemy communications show multiple requests for withdrawal approval. Kim reported. Several species are questioning General Vextar's leadership, and some ships are already beginning to fall back from their assigned positions. The psychological aspect of the battle was proving as important as the technological advantages that humans had developed. The alien species had ruled the galaxy through intimidation and overwhelming force for so long that they had forgotten how to fight against determined resistance. When their traditional advantages were neutralized, they lacked the mental flexibility to adapt to new circumstances. The bridge of General Vextar's flagship filled with smoke, as damaged systems sparked and failed throughout the massive dreadnought. Emergency lighting cast strange shadows across the command center, where the most feared military leader in the galaxy sat slumped in his command chair with green blood seeping from multiple wounds. His scaled armor had been cracked by flying debris when human weapons had penetrated shields that were supposed to be impenetrable. Captain Lee Dong-min walked slowly through the shattered corridors of the alien flagship, accompanied by a small escort of human marines. The Soul's Pride had docked with the dreadnought after Admiral Yoon had ordered a ceasefire to prevent further unnecessary casualties. The Battle of Seoul was over, and humanity had achieved a victory that would be remembered throughout galactic history. The human boarding party encountered no resistance as they made their way toward the command center. Alien crew members watched in stunned silence as the representatives of a species they had considered primitive walked through their most powerful warship. Many of the aliens were wounded, and all of them showed signs of shock at their unexpected defeat. Dr. Park Soo-jin followed behind Captain Lee with her recording equipment active to document this historic moment. Her years of studying alien cultures had prepared her for this encounter, but she knew that everything she had learned would need to be reevaluated based on what happened next. The relationship between humanity and the Galactic Council would be redefined by the words spoken in the next few minutes. "General Vextar," Captain Lee said as he entered the command center. "I bring greetings from Admiral Yoon and an offer of medical assistance for your wounded crew members." The general looked up with eyes that showed pain and confusion rather than the arrogance that had characterized his earlier communications. His species had ruled through strength and intimidation for thousands of years, but now he faced defeat at the hands of beings he had dismissed as inferior. The psychological impact was almost as devastating as the physical damage to his fleet. "You have won," General Vextar admitted in a voice that barely carried across the damaged bridge. "My fleet is broken and my reputation is destroyed. The Galactic Council will demand an explanation for this failure. Finish what you started, human. Kill me and claim your victory." Captain Lee shook his head as he approached the wounded alien commander. "That's not how humans do things, General. We don't kill defeated enemies, and we don't seek revenge for doing what you thought was right. You came here following orders from your superiors and fighting for what you believed was justice." The captain gestured to one of his marines who carried medical supplies designed for treating various alien physiologies. "Dr. Jang Ki-young has studied your species' biology, and he can treat your injuries if you permit it. We have no interest in letting you die from wounds sustained in honorable combat." Dr. Jang stepped forward with his medical scanner and began examining the general's injuries while explaining each procedure to avoid alarming the wounded alien. The doctor's gentle manner and obvious competence surprised the alien bridge crew, who had expected their captors to be brutal and vengeful, like most conquerors they had encountered. "Why do you show mercy?" General Vextar asked as the human doctor worked to stop his bleeding. "In every battle I have fought, the victors claimed the spoils and enslaved the defeated. Your behavior makes no sense according to established patterns." Captain Lee sat down on a piece of debris so that he could speak to the general at eye level rather than standing over him in a dominant position. "Because we're not trying to build an empire, General. We don't want to rule other species or control their worlds. We just want to be left alone to govern ourselves and explore space according to our own values." The alien commander studied the human's face carefully, as if trying to detect deception or hidden motives. His experience had taught him that powerful species always sought to expand their territory and increase their dominance over weaker neighbors. The concept of a military force that fought purely for defensive purposes was almost incomprehensible. Dr. Park Soo-jin recorded the conversation while analyzing the general's body language and vocal patterns. Her training allowed her to recognize that the alien was genuinely confused by human behavior rather than simply pretending surprise for tactical advantage. This cultural disconnect would need to be addressed carefully to prevent future conflicts. Admiral Yoon's voice came through the communication system as she coordinated the ceasefire and rescue operations throughout the solar system. All human vessels maintain defensive positions but render assistance to disabled enemy ships. Medical teams are authorized to provide aid to alien casualties without regard to their species or rank. The orders reflected humanity's approach to warfare, which emphasized minimizing casualties and treating prisoners with dignity even when fighting for survival. This philosophy had been developed through centuries of human conflict, where today's enemy might become tomorrow's ally if handled with wisdom and restraint. Ambassador Lee Subin's voice joined the communication network as she prepared to address the Galactic Council from her position aboard a diplomatic vessel that had remained safely distant during the battle. This is Ambassador Lee representing humanity in all diplomatic matters. I am prepared to discuss terms for a permanent peace agreement with any authorized council representatives. General Vextar's expression showed surprise at learning that the humans had prepared for post-battle negotiations, even while fighting for their survival. His species viewed warfare as a zero-sum competition, where the winner took everything while the loser faced destruction or slavery. The idea that humans had planned for a peaceful resolution was contrary to his understanding of military psychology. "Your admiral could have destroyed my entire fleet," the general observed as Dr. Yang continued treating his wounds. "Why did she order a ceasefire when victory was within her grasp? My remaining ships are helpless against your superior technology." Captain Lee considered the question carefully before responding. "Because destroying your fleet would have solved nothing, General. Tomorrow the Council would send a larger force, and the cycle of violence would continue until one side was completely eliminated. We prefer to solve problems through cooperation rather than conquest." The human medical team worked efficiently to treat alien casualties throughout the flagship, while maintaining constant communication with their patients to ensure no cultural taboos were violated accidentally. Chief Medical Officer Lim Da-yoon had prepared detailed protocols for treating each known species based on Dr. Park's cultural research and biological studies. "Patient is responding well to treatment," Dr. Jang reported as he finished working on General Vextar's most serious injuries. "The bone structure will heal completely within a few weeks if he follows proper recovery procedures. I recommend rest and avoiding stressful activities." The general attempted to sit up straighter despite his doctor's advice, as his natural pride reasserted itself. "I must contact the Galactic Council and report our defeat. The political consequences will be severe for many species that supported this invasion." "That's exactly why we need to work together," Captain Lee replied. "The Council made a mistake based on incomplete information and cultural misunderstandings. Instead of punishing people for that mistake, we should focus on preventing similar problems in the future." Ambassador Lee Subin's diplomatic vessel approached the alien flagship as negotiations began between human and alien representatives. Her team included specialists in galactic law, interspecies psychology, and conflict resolution, who had been preparing for this moment since humanity's first contact with alien civilizations. The ambassador's arrival coincided with communications from the Galactic Council as news of the fleet's defeat reached the governing body that had authorized the invasion. Political chaos erupted among member species as they struggled to understand how their most powerful military force had been defeated by a previously unknown technological capability. "General Vextar," Ambassador Lee Subin said as she entered the command center. "I bring an offer from the human government. We propose a complete ceasefire followed by negotiations for a new agreement that recognizes humanity's right to self-governance while establishing frameworks for peaceful cooperation." The general looked between the two human representatives as he tried to process their unprecedented approach to victory. Every military tradition he knew demanded that winners impose harsh terms on losers to prevent future challenges to their authority. The human offer of genuine partnership seemed too generous to be believed. Dr. Park Soo-jin stepped forward with her cultural analysis complete. "General, our research shows that the Galactic Council has maintained order through fear and intimidation for thousands of years. This approach worked when dealing with species that accepted hierarchical dominance, but it fails when confronting cultures that value independence above security." The xenobiologist activated a holographic display that showed comparative data about human and alien social structures. Humans evolved as cooperative hunters who survived through teamwork and innovation rather than individual strength. We instinctively seek solutions that benefit everyone rather than maximizing advantage for ourselves.